It starts small. It's the sarcastic tone when you explain something you're passionate about. It's the interruption mid-sentence because what she has to say is suddenly, urgently more important. It's the dismissive wave of the hand when you voice a concern. Or maybe it's not small at all. Maybe it's the public humiliation. The way she belittles you in front of your friends or family, masking it as a joke that everyone knows is not a joke. You feel it, don't you? That tightening in your chest? The acid in your stomach? The flash of anger that you instantly suppress? Because you've been trained to keep the peace. You are being disrespected, systematically, incrementally, and deliberately, and you are taking it. Why? Because you are terrified. You are terrified of the conflict. Because you are terrified. You are terrified of her anger. And deep down, in the part of your soul you don't want to admit exists, you are terrified of losing her. You tell yourself you're choosing your battles. You tell yourself it's not that big of a deal. You tell yourself the lie that has destroyed more men than war and famine combined. Happy wife, happy life. Stop. Stop pretending that this is sustainable. Stop believing that if you just absorb enough disrespect, she will eventually see your value and reward you with kindness and attraction. You are negotiating with a force of nature that does not understand negotiation. You are trying to rationalize a behavior that is rooted in a primal assessment of your strength. I have sat across from countless men who were drowning in contempt. Men who were successful in the boardroom but terrified in their own living room. Men who could command respect from the world but could not secure it from the woman they sleep next to. They all want a strategy, a script, a way to ask nicely for respect. But respect is never given. It is taken. It is enforced. Today, we are not talking about how to manage disrespect. We are talking about how to eradicate it. I am going to dissect the anatomy of disrespect, why she is biologically compelled to test you, and what actually happens in that terrifying, clarifying moment when she realizes that the rules have changed. The moment she realizes that you will no longer tolerate her disrespect is the most dangerous moment in your relationship. It is also the only moment that can save it or save you from it. Your fundamental error is believing that disrespect is a communication problem. It is not. It is a power problem. It is a frame problem. You are operating under the delusion that your relationship is a democracy. A partnership of equals where logic and fairness prevail. It is not. It is a dynamic hierarchy, constantly being tested and recalibrated. The masculine role is to establish the frame, the structure, the rules, the reality of the relationship. The feminine role, biologically, is to test that frame, to ensure that the man she is with is strong enough to maintain it. When she disrespects you, she is testing the integrity of your frame. And every time you let it slide, every time you apologize for her behavior, every time you prioritize peace over dignity, you are failing the test. And the consequences of failing this test are catastrophic. You think you are being the bigger person? You think you are being patient? You think you are demonstrating emotional maturity? You are wrong. You are demonstrating weakness. You are demonstrating that you have no boundaries, no self-respect, no spine. You are the security guard who sees someone shoplifting and politely asks them to stop, then looks away when they ignore you. No self-respect, then looks away when they ignore you. Conventional advice tells you to communicate your feelings. You are the captain of a ship who allows a mutiny because you don't want the crew to be upset. When you say X, to say, "It makes me feel Y." She does not care about your feelings. She cares about your strength. When you respond to disrespect with vulnerability, you are confirming her suspicion that you are weak. You are inviting more disrespect. You are entering a contempt spiral from which few men escape. Because here is the brutal truth. A woman cannot love a man she does not respect. And she cannot respect a man who allows her to disrespect him. It is a biological impossibility. Her disrespect is not a request for you to communicate better. It is a subconscious plea for you to be stronger. It is a desperate attempt to find the boundaries she craves. Wake up. It is a desperate attempt to find the boundaries she craves. You need to stop prioritizing the relationship over your own dignity. Because if you do not have your dignity, you do not have a relationship. You have a hostage situation where you are both the hostage and the negotiator. To understand what happens when you finally enforce a boundary, you must first understand the mechanisms that drive the disrespect and the psychological earthquake that occurs when you disrupt them. This requires accepting 4 brutal truths. Brutal truth. Number 1. The biology of the test, the raptor fence analogy. To understand what happens when you finally enforce a boundary, malicious plot to destroy you. Brutal truth. Number 1. You must understand that her disrespect is rarely a conscious. Women are the gatekeepers of reproduction. Their evolutionary success depends on selecting the strongest biological imperative, most resilient male available. To assess a man's strength, a woman must test him. She must probe for weakness. She must push the boundaries to see where the limits are. These are the infamous shit tests. And disrespect is the most potent form of shit test. Think about the velociraptors in Jurassic Park. They didn't just attack the electric fence randomly. They tested it systematically. They probed for weaknesses, looking for the exact spot where the power was off. They didn't hate the fence. They didn't have a moral objection to the fence. They were simply acting according to their nature. She is the raptor. Your frame is the fence. When she nags you, when she questions your decisions, when she belittles your ambitions, she is testing the fence. She is checking if the power is on. When you tolerate the disrespect, when you rationalize it, when you engage with the content of her complaint rather than the context of her challenge, you are signaling that the power is off. And when the power is off, the raptor attacks. This is why the disrespect escalates. It starts with a sarcastic comment. You let it slide. Then it becomes an insult. You let it slide. Then it becomes public humiliation. You let it slide. You are training her to disrespect you. You are rewarding her behavior with your compliance. She is not looking for a man she can control. She is looking for a man she cannot control. She is looking for a man whose strength she can rely on. And every time you fail the test, you are eroding that reliance. Brutal truth. Number 2. The contempt spiral and the death of desire. This is the direct consequence of failing the test. When respect dies, attraction dies with it. Attraction is not based on kindness, patience, or agreeableness. It is based on perceived strength, competence, and status. When a woman can disrespect you without consequence, she subconsciously concludes that you are weak, that you are low status, that you are inferior, and this conclusion triggers a profound emotional shift, the onset of contempt. Contempt is not anger. Anger is a hot emotion that implies engagement. Contempt is a cold emotion that implies dismissal. It is the emotion we feel towards something worthless or disgusting. When she looks at you with contempt, she is no longer seeing a partner. She is seeing a liability. This is the contempt spiral. The more you tolerate disrespect, the less she respects you. The less she respects you, the less she is attracted to you. The less attracted she is to you, the more contemptuous she becomes. I had a client, a highly successful lawyer. He commanded respect in the courtroom, but at home, he was a servant. His wife dictated every aspect of their lives. She criticized him constantly, from the way he dressed to the way he handled his cases. He thought he was being a supportive husband by deferring to her. He came to me because they hadn't had sex in 3 years. He was confused. He provided everything for her. But when I observed their interactions, the contempt was palpable. She spoke to him like a disappointing child. He had allowed the disrespect to metastasize into a terminal condition. He had sacrificed his masculinity for peace. and he received neither. When you tolerate disrespect, you are committing slow-motion suicide on your relationship. You are ensuring that the woman you love will eventually despise you. Brutal truth number 3. The moment of shift, the earthquake. So what happens when you finally decide enough is enough? What happens when you turn the power back on the fence? It is not a negotiation. It is not a discussion. It is a unilateral declaration of boundaries. It is the moment you look her in the eye and say no. It is the moment you walk away from an argument instead of engaging. It is the moment you check her disrespect in real time, calmly and ruthlessly. The moment she realizes you will no longer tolerate disrespect is a psychological earthquake. It shatters her existing reality. It challenges her perception of you and her perception of the relationship dynamic. Her first reaction is shock, disbelief, cognitive dissonance. Her first reaction is shock. Agreeable. Weak man has suddenly disappeared. He has been replaced by something else, something stronger, something dangerous. This dissonance is profoundly uncomfortable. She is forced to reevaluate everything. If you deliver the boundary with anger, with shouting, with aggression, she will dismiss it. She will label you as unstable or abusive. She will use your emotional outburst as justification for her disrespect. But if you deliver it with calm, stoic indifference, with the quiet confidence of a man who knows his own worth, that is when the earthquake hits. She realizes that she has miscalculated. She realizes that the leverage she thought she had over you, the fear of conflict, the fear of loss, is gone. This is a terrifying moment for her, because it means she is no longer in control. It means she has to face the consequences of her own behavior. But it is also, paradoxically, the moment when respect can begin to return. Because in that moment, you have demonstrated strength. You have demonstrated that you are not weak. You have passed the test. Brutal truth number 4. The extinction burst. The counterattack. This is the most critical truth you must understand. When you enforce a boundary, the situation will get worse before it gets better. She will not apologize. She will not thank you for your newfound strength. She will attack. This is the extinction burst. It is a psychological phenomenon that occurs when a behavior that was previously rewarded, in this case, disrespect rewarded by compliance, is suddenly no longer rewarded. The individual will escalate the behavior in a desperate attempt to regain the reward. Think of a slot machine. If you pull the lever and money comes out, you will keep pulling the lever. If you pull the lever and nothing comes out, you don't just walk away. You pull the lever faster, harder. You shake the machine. You kick it. You try everything to get the money you expect. She is shaking the machine. The extinction burst will involve the full arsenal of emotional manipulation, tears, accusations, guilt trips, the silent treatment, threats of divorce or breakup. She will accuse you of being selfish, cold, uncaring, narcissistic, or abusive. She will rewrite history to paint you as the villain and herself as the victim. She will recruit allies, friends, family to reinforce her narrative. She will rewrite history to paint you as the villain and herself as the victim. This is the moment when the fear returns. The fear of being the bad guy. The fear of the conflict escalating beyond control. They apologize. They retreat. They revert to the old patterns of compliance. And in doing so, they make the situation infinitely worse. They revert to the old patterns of compliance. That their strength is a facade. That all she has to do is escalate the conflict. And they will eventually fold. You must withstand the extinction burst. You must remain unmoved by the emotional onslaught. You must hold the line. Because it is only when the extinction burst fails, when she realizes that no amount of emotional manipulation will break your frame, that the behavior will finally change. So, how do you do it? How do you enforce boundaries and command respect without becoming a tyrant or destroying your relationship? It requires a fundamental shift from reactivity to proactivity. It requires the cultivation of stoic indifference and the ruthless implementation of consequences. This is not about winning arguments. This is about making arguments irrelevant. Here is your protocol for commanding respect. E. Define your boundaries. The non-negotiables. You must first know what your boundaries are. What behaviors will you no longer tolerate? This is not a negotiation with her. This is an internal audit. Your boundaries should be clear, concise, and non-negotiable. They might include no insults or name-calling, no public humiliation or belittling, no interruptions during serious conversations, no emotional manipulation or guilt trips. Write them down. Internalize them. These are the laws of your reality. R. Enforce boundaries with calm indifference, the stoic check. When a boundary is violated, you must check the behavior immediately, in real time. But the delivery is crucial. Do not shout. Do not argue. Do not explain yourself. Do not try to convince her that her behavior is wrong. Deliver the check with calm, stoic indifference. Maintain eye contact. Lower your tone of voice. Use simple, declarative statements. I'm not going to continue this conversation if you are going to insult me. Stop interrupting me. That's disrespectful. Don't do it again. The absence of emotion is key. It signals that her behavior has no power over you. It signals that you are in control of yourself and the situation. If the behavior continues, you must escalate to consequences. San. Implement consequences, the power of walking away. A boundary without a consequence is just a suggestion, and suggestions are meaningless in the face of disrespect. The most potent consequence you have is the removal of your presence and attention. If she continues to violate the boundary after you have checked her, you must walk away. Say, "This conversation is over," and leave the room, leave the house, go for a drive. You must demonstrate that you are willing to end the interaction if your boundaries are not respected. This is not the silent treatment. The silent treatment is a passive-aggressive attempt to punish her emotionally. Walking away is a proactive measure to protect your dignity and enforce your frame. It teaches her that access to you is conditional on respectful behavior. Siu. Withstand the extinction burst. Hold the line. This is the hardest part. You must be prepared for the counterattack. You must be prepared for the emotional storm. When the extinction burst comes, you must remain completely unmoved. Do not react to the tears. Do not engage with the accusations. Do not defend yourself against the guilt trips. Your mantra must be, I will not negotiate with emotional terrorism. Hold the line. Remain grounded in your reality. Focus on your mission, your purpose, your peace of mind. Let her exhaust herself. Let her realize that her emotional manipulation has no effect on you. This requires immense emotional control. It requires the cultivation of stoic resilience, but it is the only way through the fire. Wu, the nuclear option, the willingness to lose it all. This is the ultimate boundary. You must be willing to lose the relationship. Wu, if she refuses to adapt to the new reality, if she is incapable of respecting you, then you must be prepared to walk away permanently. Your dignity is non-negotiable. Your self-respect is more important than the relationship. The paradox is that the moment you are truly willing to walk away is the moment you have the most power, because it means you are no longer controlled by the fear of loss. It means you are free. If she realizes that you are willing to lose her, she will either change her behavior or she will leave. Either way, you win. You regain your dignity, your freedom, and your future. So there you have it, the anatomy of disrespect and the protocol for eradicating it. You now understand why she tests you. You understand the contempt spiral. You understand the psychological earthquake that occurs when you enforce a boundary. And you understand the terrifying reality of the extinction burst. The path to respect is clear. It is paved with conflict, tension, and the willingness to stand alone. It is a difficult path, and that is why most men avoid it. Which brings me to you. You are watching this video because you are experiencing disrespect. You are looking for a solution, but I know what most of you are going to do. You are going to do absolutely nothing. You are going to watch this video. You are watching this video because you are experiencing disrespect. But I know what most of you are going to do. Feel a temporary surge of motivation. You are going to prioritize peace over dignity. You are going to fold. You are going to rationalize her behavior. Agreeable. Weak man you have always been. Why? Because facing the extinction burst is terrifying. Because the risk of conflict is uncomfortable. Because the possibility of losing her is unbearable. It is easier to be a domesticated pet than a sovereign man. It is easier to accept the slow drip of contempt than to face the fire of transformation. It is easier to live in the familiar misery of a disrespectful relationship than to demand the respect you deserve. You are addicted to the illusion of peace, and that addiction will cost you your soul. So go ahead. Ignore everything I just said. Keep choosing your battles. Keep walking on eggshells. Keep wondering why she despises you. Or you can wake up. You can embrace the conflict. You can enforce your boundaries. You can withstand the storm. You can reclaim your masculinity. The choice is yours. But remember this: the disrespect you tolerate is the respect you deserve. Prove me wrong. If you have faced the extinction burst and survived, I want to hear your story in the comments. What happened when you finally enforced your boundaries? How did she react? We need to share these war stories.